Have you ever wondered why the darkest night of the year holds more power than any other moment in the cosmic calendar? There is a reason ancient civilizations built their most sacred monuments, aligned precisely to this one celestial event. A reason shamans and mystics have gathered in ceremony at this threshold for millennia. What they understood, what has been whispered through the ages and encoded in stone circles and temple walls, is that the December solstice is not merely an astronomical occurrence. It is a dimensional portal, a cosmic reset button, an energetic gateway that opens only once each year, when the very fabric of reality becomes permeable to transformation. Before we journey deeper into this mystery, I want to share something with you. I've created a free book called Formula Baraka that expands on these principles and provides practical guidance for your manifestation journey. It's completely free, though if it resonates with you and you'd like to support the channel, donations are always welcome. You'll find the link in the bio. Now, let us return to what the ancient ones knew. When you stand in the longest night of the year, December 21st in the Northern Hemisphere, you are standing at the moment when Earth herself pauses, when the sun appears to stand still in the sky. The word solstice comes from the Latin meaning exactly this, sun standing still. But what does it mean when the sun stands still? What happens in that pregnant pause between the shortening and the lengthening of days? The ancients understood something that modern consciousness has largely forgotten. They understood that this is the moment when the membrane between what is and what could be becomes thin as breath, transparent as water, permeable as a dream just before waking. For over 5,000 years, perhaps longer than we can trace through the archaeological record, human beings have recognized this night as sacred. The Diadyam architects of Newgrange in Ireland, working with stones and astronomical precision over 5 millennia ago, aligned their passage tomb so that on this one morning, the solstice sunrise would illuminate the inner chamber with a shaft of golden light penetrating the darkness. Think about this for a moment. These were not primitive people engaged in superstition. These were sophisticated observers of celestial mechanics who understood that something profoundly important happens when light returns from its greatest absence. The Egyptians built temples at Karnak and Abu Simbel with such mathematical precision that the winter solstice sunrise would illuminate the inner sanctum, awakening stone gods from their slumber. At Stonehenge, the great trilithon faces not the sunrise but the sunset of the winter solstice, as if the builders wanted to witness and honor the moment when the sun descends into its deepest darkness before its inevitable resurrection. These monuments were not built merely to mark time. They were built to harness it, to capture and concentrate the transformative power that flows through the universe at this liminal moment. What did they know that we have forgotten? They knew that consciousness itself operates according to cycles, that the universe breathes in rhythms of expansion and contraction, that there are moments when the ordinary rules of manifestation are suspended and replaced by something far more potent, far more immediate, far more miraculous. Let me take you deeper into understanding why this particular moment in the cosmic wheel holds such extraordinary power. Modern physics, particularly quantum mechanics, has begun to catch up with what mystics have known intuitively for thousands of years. The universe is not made of solid matter but of energy, vibration, frequency. At the quantum level, particles exist in states of superposition, holding multiple potentials simultaneously until consciousness collapses the wave function and calls forth one reality from infinite possibilities. Your consciousness is not separate from this quantum field. Recent research suggests that our brains may themselves operate according to quantum principles, that the electromagnetic fields generated by our neural activity interact with and influence the quantum substrate of reality itself. Scientists studying consciousness have proposed that our thoughts, our intentions, our emotional states exist as interference patterns, as holograms created by countless brain waves colliding and overlapping to produce the texture of awareness. What does this have to do with the solstice? Everything. The Earth exists within a vast electromagnetic field, the magnetosphere, a protective bubble generated by the churning of molten iron in our planet's core. This field is not static. It pulses. It shifts. It responds to solar winds and cosmic radiation. It undergoes changes that scientists call geomagnetic jerks, sudden reconfigurations that can undermine navigation systems and affect satellite operations. The field has even reversed its polarity hundreds of times throughout Earth's history, north becoming south, south becoming north, in a planetary flip that occurs without warning and for reasons that remain mysterious. Your consciousness exists within this electromagnetic ocean. Every thought you think generates a measurable electromagnetic signature. Your heart produces an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. You are not isolated. You are entangled with the electromagnetic field of the planet, which is entangled with the electromagnetic field of the sun, which is entangled with the fields of distant stars and galaxies in an infinite web of energetic connection. At the solstice, something shifts. The Earth reaches maximum tilt away from or toward the sun depending on your hemisphere. The angle of solar radiation changes. The electromagnetic relationship between Earth and sun reconfigures. Ancient traditions speak of the veil between worlds becoming thin at this time, and while this sounds poetic, there may be a literal truth encoded in the metaphor. If consciousness operates through electromagnetic fields, and if these fields undergo subtle but significant changes at the solstice, then the conditions for manifestation, for reality creation, for the collapse of quantum possibilities into physical actualities are fundamentally different on this night than on any other night of the year. The ancient Persians celebrated Yalda night, the longest and darkest night, by gathering together, eating pomegranates and reciting poetry, staying awake through the darkness to witness and midwife the rebirth of the sun. The Norse lit enormous Yule logs and kept them burning for 12 days, understanding that feeding the fire on the darkest night was not merely symbolic but participatory, that human intention and action could literally assist the sun's return. The Maya performed sacred ceremonies with offerings and holy fires, recognizing that their consciousness was not separate from the rhythms of nature, but intrinsically woven into the fabric of cosmic time. The Celts honored this as the moment when ancestors and spirits could more easily communicate with the living, suggesting they understood that the boundaries between different states of existence, different dimensions of reality, become permeable at this threshold. What they all shared was the understanding that this night is not passive, it is active. It is a door that swings open once each year, and whether you walk through that door consciously or unconsciously determines whether you harness its transformative power or allow it to pass unremarked and unused. So how do you walk through this portal? How do you perform the ritual that resets your reality for the year ahead? It begins with understanding what a ritual actually is. A ritual is not superstition. It is not pretending. It is a technology for focusing consciousness, for aligning your electromagnetic field, your emotional state, your mental clarity, and your physical actions into a unified vector of intention. When performed with sincerity and precision, ritual creates a resonance between your individual consciousness and the larger consciousness of the universe. It establishes what physicists might call coherence, where multiple waves synchronize and amplify each other, creating effects far more powerful than any single wave alone could produce. The most effective solstice ritual follows the natural rhythm of death and rebirth that this night embodies. The old year is dying. The old you, with all your limitations and failures and unrealized potentials, is dying. The sun itself appears to die, descending to its lowest point, giving the shortest day and longest night. But within, that death is the seed of resurrection. The sun will be reborn. The light will return. And you can be reborn as well, but only if you consciously participate in the process. Begin by creating sacred space. This does not require elaborate tools or years of training. It requires intention. Choose a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. If possible, work with fire, a candle at minimum, a fireplace or bonfire if available. Fire is the earthly manifestation of the sun's light. It is the element of transformation, capable of reducing what was to ash and creating space for what will be. Before you light your fire, before you begin the ceremony, spend time in darkness. This is essential. Sit in the longest night and feel it. Do not flee from the darkness into distraction, into your phone, into television, into anything that prevents you from encountering the void. The darkness is not your enemy. It is the fertile emptiness from which all creation emerges. Every spiritual tradition that has survived the test of millennia includes some form of darkness practice, some deliberate encounter with the void, because it is only by descending into darkness that you can know the difference between who you truly are and the stories you have been telling yourself about who you are. In the darkness, ask yourself what you are ready to release. Not what you think you should release, not what sounds spiritually impressive, but what you genuinely, viscerally, need to let go of in order to step into the fullness of your power. What limiting beliefs have you been carrying like dead weight? What fears have been running your decisions from the shadows? What resentments? What old stories of victimhood? What patterns of self-sabotage are you ready to burn in the solstice fire? Write them down. Be specific. The quantum field responds to precision. Vague intentions generate vague results. If you want to release financial scarcity, name the specific belief that keeps you trapped. If you want to release toxic relationships, name the pattern within yourself that keeps attracting them. If you want to release physical illness, name the emotional wounds that have been expressing themselves through your body. When you have written everything you are ready to release, light your fire. Hold each piece of paper, each recorded limitation, and speak it aloud. This is important. Quantum physics has demonstrated that observation collapses possibility into actuality. Your spoken word is an act of observation. It brings what was unconscious into consciousness, what was potential into manifestation. As you speak each limitation, each fear, each old story, you are not merely acknowledging it. You are witnessing it, and in witnessing it consciously, you complete its cycle. It can now be released. Feed each paper to the flames. Watch it burn. See it transform from solid matter into light and heat and ash. This is not symbolic. This is actual transformation occurring at the molecular level, chemical bonds breaking, energy being released, form dissolving back into formlessness. As you watch each limitation burn, say, I release this with gratitude for the lessons it taught me, and I call back to myself all the energy I invested in maintaining it. This is crucial. Every pattern you have been running, even destructive ones, contains your life force. When you release the pattern, you must consciously reclaim that energy, or you will simply create another pattern to contain it. Feel the energy returning to you with each release. Feel yourself becoming lighter, emptier, more spacious. When you have burned everything you are ready to release, sit in silence before the fire. Rest in the emptiness. This is the sacred pause, the moment of maximum potential, the 0 point from which all creation springs. In quantum terms, this is the moment before the wave function collapses, when all possibilities exist simultaneously in superposition. Now, and only now, are you ready to plant the seeds of what you wish to create. Take new pieces of paper. On each one, write a single intention for the year ahead. But here is where most people make a critical error. They write what they want. I want more money. I want a better relationship. I want health. This does not work because the universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. Wanting implies lack. Wanting maintains the energetic signature of not having. Instead, write as if your intention has already manifested. Not, I want financial abundance, but I am grateful for the rivers of abundance that flow effortlessly through my life. Not, I want to find love, but I am grateful for the deep soul partnership that enriches every aspect of my existence. Not, I want to be healthy, but I am grateful for the vibrant health and vitality that fill my body with energy and joy. Do you feel the difference? In the first version, you are standing outside your desire, longing for it. In the second version, you are standing inside it, inhabiting it, claiming it as your present reality. This is not pretending. This is quantum mechanics. The wave function collapses toward the frequency you embody. If you embody lack, you will manifest more experiences of lack. If you embody abundance, gratitude, fulfillment now, even before physical evidence appears, you align your electromagnetic field with the frequency of those experiences. And the quantum field must respond by bringing you circumstances that match that frequency. Write each intention as a statement of gratitude for something that has already occurred. Be specific. The more precisely you can articulate the feeling state you wish to embody, the more powerful the manifestation. Do not focus on the how. That is not your job. Your job is to define the what and the why, the what you are calling into being and why it matters to you, what it will feel like when it is here. The universe, the quantum field, the infinite intelligence that spins galaxies and guides migrations and causes acorns to become oak trees, that intelligence will handle the how. When you have written each intention, speak it aloud. Again, the spoken word is an act of observation, of collapse, of manifestation. Speak each intention 3 times. Feel it in your body. Where does it live in your body? Abundance might feel like expansion in your chest. Love might feel like warmth in your heart. Health might feel like vitality in your limbs. Root the intention not just in your mind, but in your soma, your physical form, because matter and consciousness are not separate. Your body is crystallized consciousness. When you can feel the intention in your body, you have achieved what physicists call coherence, alignment between thought and emotion and physical state. After speaking each intention 3 times, place the paper on your altar or in a special place you have prepared. Some traditions bury them in the earth. Some keep them in a box throughout the year. Some burn them as well, releasing them to the fire and trusting the smoke to carry them into the etheric realms where they can begin their process of densification into physical form. There is no single correct method. Trust your intuition. The ritual is complete when it feels complete, when you sense a shift in the energetic field around you, when you feel simultaneously emptied of what was and pregnant with what will be. But here is what most teachers of manifestation will not tell you. The ritual is only the beginning. The solstice opens the portal, but you must walk through it daily. Every morning for the next 12 days, the traditional length of Yule celebrations, read your intentions again. Speak them aloud. Feel them in your body. This is not repetition. This is reinforcement of the new frequency, the new electromagnetic pattern you are establishing. You are training your consciousness to inhabit the reality you have claimed, rather than defaulting back to the old patterns that have been running automatically for years or decades. Between the solstice on December 21st and the new year on January 1st, you exist in a liminal time, a time between times. Use it wisely. Notice synchronicities. The quantum field will begin responding to your new frequency immediately, sending you signs, opportunities, people, information that align with your intentions. Most people miss these because they are looking for the full manifestation rather than recognizing the breadcrumbs that lead to it. And here is the deepest truth, the one that makes all of this more than technique, more than manifestation technology, more than spiritual ambition. The purpose of the solstice ritual is not actually to get what you want. The purpose is to remember who you are. You are not a separate self struggling against a hostile universe, hoping to manipulate reality into giving you what you need to feel okay. You are an expression of the same intelligence that creates supernovas and orchestrates seasons and guides birds across oceans. You are the universe looking at itself through this particular angle, this particular configuration of consciousness. When you align with your true nature, when you remember that you are not in the universe but the universe is in you, manifestation ceases to be effort and becomes flow. Things do not happen to you. They happen through you. You do not attract your reality. You generate it from within. The solstice reminds you of this because it is a moment when nature herself demonstrates the principle. The sun does not struggle to return. It simply does. The light does not force its way through the darkness. It simply arises, inevitable, unstoppable, because it is the nature of light to shine. When you align with your true nature, your intentions manifest with the same inevitability, not because you are manipulating energy, but because you have stopped resisting the natural flow of energy through you. This is why the ancient ones built their monuments and performed their ceremonies and stayed awake through the longest night. They were not trying to make the sun return. They were participating in its return. adding their consciousness to the great tide of life, affirming itself against entropy, complexity emerging from simplicity, light birthing itself from darkness in an eternal cycle of death and resurrection. You are part of that cycle. Every breath you take is a solstice, a turning point where the old breath dies and the new breath is born. Every moment is a portal if you are awake enough to recognize it. But this moment, this night, this turning of the cosmic wheel, this is when the portal stands widest, when the door between what was and what will be swings open on hinges of starlight and invites you to step through consciously, deliberately, with full awareness of the power you wield simply by being here, simply by choosing, simply by saying yes to the fullness of your own becoming. The December solstice is your cosmic reset button. The ritual is your permission to press it. What happens next is up to you, but remember this as you stand in the longest night and light your fire and speak your intentions into being. You are not hoping. You are not wishing. You are not asking permission from a capricious universe. You are claiming what is already yours, recognizing what is already true, stepping into a version of yourself that has always existed in potential and is now ready to collapse into actuality. The quantum field is listening. It has always been listening. The only question is, what frequency are you broadcasting? The solstice gives you the opportunity to tune that frequency with precision, to reset the signal, to begin transmitting from a place of power rather than powerlessness, from abundance rather than lack, from love rather than fear. This is the gift the darkest night offers. This is the portal that opens once each year at the moment when the sun stands still, and time itself holds its breath waiting for your answer to the only question that matters. Who will you choose to be in the year that is coming? And will you choose consciously, or will you let the old patterns choose for you? The ancient ones are whispering, across millennia, calling you to remember, inviting you to join the ceremony that has been performed for 5,000 years and will be performed for 5,000 more. They built their monuments in stone so that you would not forget. Now it is your turn to build your monument, not in stone but in consciousness, not in the outer world, but in the inner world, from which all outer worlds emerge. Light your fire. Release what was. Claim what will be. Stand in the longest night and witness your own rebirth. The portal is open. Walk through.